Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. If you have been hanging on until the holiday weekend, you have made it. If you are taking off additional days next week or today, good for you. I am your host, Meg Kramer, and with me is Jessamine Edwards. Jessamine, are you taking off any days next week or today?
I am not, but I had coworkers encourage me to take some time off.
Yeah, I'll encourage
Um,
you.
but I thought about it on last night
Hmm.
and I was like, if I take the day off, that means when I come back, I'm gonna be like drowning.
Hmm.
So I was like, I don't have that many meetings today. I'm just gonna use the day, have a quiet
Hmm.
day. So I decided to work today. And I'm glad I did. I think I made the right choice because if
It's
I,
nice when you have a quiet day. You can get a
yeah,
lot of stuff
exactly.
done.
Get stuff done, not a lot of interruptions. This is like the best type of day. So I'm very grateful for this day. And yeah, I have my standing desk up. My daughter walked in. She's like, "Mommy, why is the desk so high? What are you doing?" She's on my chair in the corner. And I was like, I'm standing up. And she's like, why are you standing up? And I was like, so my butt doesn't go numb. And I was like, how do you explain to a child that you want to stand up while you're working?
Uh,
There's,
they they probably just want to sit all the time.
yes. She like got in my chair and started spinning around. So yeah.
And is
So
it
I'm standing up.
is the case for you that is it that you'll have so much to do when you get back because you have colleagues that don't take Monday off because Memorial Day is the holiday that's coming up?
Actually, yeah, because I
Um,
do have Canadian
yeah.
colleagues and they had a day off last Monday, I think. There was some holiday in Canada
Hmm.
on the 22nd, or that was this Monday. So, yeah. So everybody gets a day.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it just reminds me how nice those global days were if you got them at your company.
Hmm.
Um because then everybody got a day off and so you weren't coming back to emails that you'd have to catch up on.
Yeah. Hey,
You
can you
know,
do this thing? Oh, hey.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird because our American holidays are sometimes don't feel like real holidays sometimes anymore because everyone else on your team might be working.
Hmm. I would
So
say people aren't too afraid to take time off. I've
yeah.
observed people having some pretty nice vacations actually. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, give me a trigger warning, please, before you tell me about your amazing vacation that you're about to take, because I'm
Mm,
going to be very jealous. Yeah. I've have colleagues going on cruises and European adventures and Disney Paris and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh gosh.
everybody's getting out there again.
How about you, Meg? How's it going for you?
I'm taking the little kiddo down to San
Hmm.
Diego to see my parents over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, over the long weekend. And so this morning I went out and stocked up at the dollar store on a bunch of things that I can throw at him
Mm-hmm.
during the long drive, the what will be between 3.5 hours to, I don't
Oh
know, could be
yeah.
6, could be 7, could be
You are
8.
brave. Yeah.
Um, and if we're bringing this back to UX, gosh, car seat and parent driver car
Oh
seat design is
my
just the
God.
worst, just the worst.
I hate it so much. And the reason they have infants rear facing is because of airbags, you
Hmm.
know? And I think it's a horrible design. It causes a lot of problems because people forget that their kids are in the car and they get out and leave them in the car. And I'm like, if that's not enough
Hmm.
impetus to change the way cars are designed, I don't know what is.
I will be,
Where, you know?
yeah, I will be driving basically with my, right arm stretched out
Yes.
to his seat the entire time, feeding him
Yeah.
like one goldfish cracker at a time
It is
for,
terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
for like 7 hours. And that can't be good for driving.
I have like nearly pulled my own arm out of the socket trying to reach back to soothe crying infants and kids. And, pat their head, put my finger in their mouth for them to suck on, try to hand them something, pat
Hmm.
their car seat, anything. I absolutely hate the way cars are designed for infants. I think it's the worst design you could come up with, frankly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like seeing a presentation at UXPA conference years ago by a car designer, and all like they're coming up, giving their presentation, and all they focus on is like the screen in the car. And I'm like, you guys need to be thinking about babies. Babies in the car, it's the worst experience. Like, please who cares about the screen in the car? Those things are obsolete anyway. Nobody wants a big screen in their car that it looks so dated no matter what you do. So focus on the babies. Give me a
I,
bassinet in the car. I want
yeah.
like what was there? Oh, somebody was, I was at a mothering group a couple months ago, and one of the leaders of the group, she was like, I remember as a child watching my mom drive while holding the baby, one arm around the baby, one arm on the wheel. And I
I
was
rem
like, oh man.
I remember my uncle had I want to say a Crown Victoria, and it had three seats in the front. And the seat in the
Uh-huh.
middle of the front seat was for a child to sit
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the front seat. And I
Yeah,
remember
between
that.
mom and dad.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
was fantastic. Yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
obviously, we want people to live and be safe, but like, I personally like think a lot like, how bad of a parent would I be if I switched my child to front facing?
Different. Uh-huh. I
I
know.
think
I've
about
done
that.
it. I've done it actually on occasion, like if we're traveling or something and we're getting in and out of a taxi or something like that. I'm like, oh, just front face, it's fine. Because it's so crazy. Like car seats in general, they just are awful. So hard and so hard to install. Oh, don't get me started. I've had full on meltdowns, screaming meltdowns over installing car seats under pressure. I
Mm.
had one at an airport last summer. I could not get the car seat out of the damn car. I was picking up somebody, a family member at the airport, and they were trying to help me. And I was like, leave me alone. And I just screamed like yeah, it was not my best moment.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
if
yeah,
any of the child free folks are thinking, oh, well, your kid's only in a seat for so long, like we can't be designing for them. They're in seats for so long. They're basically
years.
adults before they get out of their booster
Mm-hmm.
seats.
I think you
So,
have to be like 80 pounds or something, 90
yeah,
pounds, something like that.
yeah, that's like a small adult. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh,
on
yeah.
some other topics, I wanted to bring up a topic this week. I think a timely topic.
Mm-hmm.
But Jessamine, do you remember GDPR? Do you remember the
So
like
global
working on
global
anything?
data privacy. Is it global data privacy regulations?
Very close protection regulation. I had to look it up
Protection.
because
Okay.
I only remember it as GDPR too. And turns out I earlier this week I was doing some stuff and I ran into a really terrible piece of UI, which reminded me of working on
Uh-oh.
GDPR issues. And then I was looking some stuff up because I wanted to mention on the podcast. Turns out this week is the 5 year anniversary of when GDPR became like what became enacted in the EU. So
Okay.
I was just curious, like, do you remember working on anything that had to do with GDPR?
Hmm.
Or do you remember like it affecting any of the UX work that you've done in the last 5 years?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not directly. What about you?
I definitely do remember it being such a big deal in the spaces that I was working in. Can't 100% remember why. I think the last thing I worked on was um, data. Now I'm like blanking on the actual term, but like data localization. So some countries have rules about your data like having to be stored in that country.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the more recent things I worked on, and I can't remember if that's close to GDPR or not. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the main thing that we see as like consumers these days, if you never worked on anything like that, you're still kind of seeing some of the outcomes of this stuff in the UI on websites, because anytime you're going to like a new website that you've never been to before, you're going to get that notice that's like, like this website collects data about you as a person, and what do you want your privacy settings to be?
Mm,
And I mean, it's really changed the landscape, because every time you hit a website, you're
you get
faced with
asked
that.
it.
Yeah, it's the first thing you have to do, which is very,
Do you
super,
have
super
any
duper
choice other
prominent.
than to accept? Because I thought like every time they show it,
Hmm.
there's never two choices. Or sometimes it says like don't accept and sometimes it says accept, but most of the time it just says accept. And so I'm like, I guess I have to accept to proceed. Is that dark UI? Like, um, is that,
Probably.
yeah.
I also think that, like, because if you are on a number of these, or the more you're on the internet just doing whatever, the more you see the same UI come up on different websites. So clearly this is a service, right? Like GDPR as a service is something that you as a company can just outsource and buy and just slap it into your web service, your web app. And so you don't have to build any of that stuff. You don't have to maintain any of that stuff. You can just buy it from a third party that specializes
Hmm.
in that. Um, and so I think they're all probably like, each one is maybe slightly different, and maybe you can like do some customizations on it too.
Mm-hmm.
I had never worked in that area, and I don't have any like super deep insights on it. But one thing I do think that's like interesting and worth mentioning is that this was a regulation for the European Union. It had nothing to do with the rest of the world. And yet, like, because of the way that, people couldn't really determine whether or not uh, you were like, well, there are ways to determine, but where you are in the world. But I believe that with GDPR, it was like if you're a European citizen, so it didn't matter where you were located or where you were accessing the website. It meant that you, as a citizen of the EU, would have these protections. And that's the way, I didn't know this, but that's the way that the California consumer protection law works as well. And so that one came after GDPR. And that means that because I'm a California resident, even if I was in like Alaska or Canada or wherever, I I should be able to have like a way to say, do not sell my personal information.
Okay.
And that means that, instead of trying to say like, you know, hey, random user of my website, are you a California resident or not? Like, they're not going to do that. So they're just going to give this protection to everybody. And that's anyway. And my point of saying this is like, this is some of the good parts of these kinds of things coming into effect, is because, you know, it's a law in California, there's regulations in the EU, but then they end up applying to a lot of people, or everyone really,
So
which
what was the
ideally is a good
UI?
thing.
Did you have to
Oh,
design?
the UI that I came across the other day that was garbage, um, that I just was like, that is that the one you're talking about, or the one I don't think I ever designed any of
Oh,
those
okay.
any of
So
those
you came
things.
across something that had to do with GDPR?
Yeah. I did on the side maintain a website, and when GDPR came into effect, so this was when it started, somebody was like, "Oh, hey, like we need to make sure we do that on the website." And it was, it like the the company that we worked with basically to help us run the WordPress site, like, just uh had that as part of the offering that they were giving. So we just used, again, like an out of the box solution, which may have been just something on WordPress that WordPress was even providing at the time. So that's my only like real experience with it. And that website just does do that one thing, which is like, accept or decline. And I'm honestly not sure what happens if you decline.
Wait, but
Um,
didn't you say you saw something that was bonkers?
mhm. So the one that I saw was bonkers, was just really like from a consumer perspective, really garbage, but from like whoever built this, probably great news for them because it really is either, you could probably consider it a dark pattern, or you could just consider it just like negligence, maybe having such bad UI that like because they don't care about making it easy for you um to classify yourself as in a do not sell like my information category of things.
Oh, okay.
And so instead of having, have you seen like when you go to a website, it'll say like do not sell my information? It'll give you that
Sometimes it'll
option.
say that, but it's like usually we don't sell your information, sort of like an like a
Hmm.
statement. But I don't know if I've ever seen it where I can say, do not
Yeah,
sell my info. And like I'm clicking on that and saying, yes, don't sell it.
interesting.
I mean, the only
Okay.
thing I can think of is like Craigslist when you have to click to say, yes, share my
Hmm.
information for other products and services. They make you opt in.
Yeah.
That's the only other one I can think of.
Well, I feel like I hit it a lot, and again, maybe that's like it could be a number of things, but I'm pretty sure that Virginia, where you are residing, does have uh like privacy laws that have to do um with like with not selling the information. Um So I would have assumed you would see it more too. But anyway,
Hmm.
this one this one in particular like does not give it to you up front. You have to hide it, you have to find it. And I'm just gonna call it out. It's like the 1-800-Flowers like consortium of products and
Hmm.
that they have under their like umbrella
Yeah.
because I bought flowers but basically I bought flowers for somebody the other day, and then like 5 days later I get three magazines in the mail, three catalogs in the
Whoa.
mail. and
Oh.
and I was just like, I'm sure at every step of
Yeah.
the way I clicked like do not send
Do
me
not.
stuff, do not
Yeah.
send me stuff. So
Oh.
I was I was trying to look to get my and here's the thing, if they do that for their own products, they are very liberal with my information in terms of like
Mm.
where they're getting
Oh my
money
gosh.
from. But
I have
anyway, yeah.
spent serious time like
Hmm.
trying to get myself off of catalog mailing lists. I've gone online
Hmm.
to websites, I've called or emailed companies and requested take
I
me
do it
off
too.
because I
I
hate it. They just pile up and then I just throw them away or they sit around the house and I'm like, look at all these nice things, I guess. And then we had for a while my daughters like I would say, "Oh, if you like something, just circle it." And then they would circle all these clothes in the catalog
mm.
and my daughter would be like, "Why haven't you bought me these clothes yet?" And I'm like, "Ah,
We
well,
got to get those magazines out of
yeah,
here.
exactly." And it worked once or twice, but after a while, I'm like, I can't keep ordering her clothes all the time. So I was like, we got to get rid of these catalogs, and I go sometimes over to people's houses that get these catalogs and then keep them. And the catalogs are everywhere. They are piled high on every table and in the bathroom. And I just think, oh my God, turn this off. But it's not
Hmm.
easy to turn off. It's not easy to figure that out. You have to really sleuth.
It's yeah, and it's a never winning battle. I do the same thing. I try to get off catalog mailing, like physical mailing lists all the time, and it's like a full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll just name a couple of things on this. So anyway, if you want to see this, because obviously this is a podcast, just Google like 1-800-Flowers, do not sell my information if you want to see this UI. But
Ooh.
the number of things here that just are super, super UX red flags. First of all, it says at the top in not, it doesn't really flag it, but it's like only fill this form out if you're in a state with an applicable privacy law.
Oh,
So they're giving you
how are
this
you
form.
supposed to know that?
Right, right. And then it says all others, please see your privacy choices here. So they're not even like
Calling out which
applying.
state. They're not saying which
They
state are you in?
they do call it out, but they're not even like doing the nice thing where like they're applying the more the more generous privacy considerations for people outside of these states. They're like literally like, no, we will only do what the law says. But even then it's like not not that great because they're I think there is some sort of time frame that the yeah, so it says once verified the request will be completed within the time frame permitted by applicable law, which I believe is
Mm.
like 45 days. So
Mm-hmm.
like uh and then my favorite part though, my very favorite part, and then they have a bunch of form questions all required, so like you can't, you
Mm.
know, they're just like they're not even going to try very hard. You have to do all the work here. And
Yikes.
but my favorite part is that your request is tied to the device you are using now. If you use multiple devices, you will need to complete a form from each
Each
device.
device. So like your phone. Ooh.
It's like you're never gonna have them not sell your information.
Ugh.
So
You know,
anyway,
this
this is my
reminds me,
shame on 1-800-Flowers.
yeah, shame on you guys. I have had something similar where it was when we were shopping for a house, I looked at this website called like Lending Tree,
Mhm.
and oh my goodness, like I clicked on like one thing, and because I was like, oh, I could compare. And it was like I had opened Pandora's box of emails, phone calls, texts,
Mhm.
and I had people calling me, leaving me messages, calling me repeated times, leaving me, voicemails. And I was just like, what on earth? This is absolutely insane. Like, it was a huge, and I was like, oh my gosh, should I talk to these people? Like, and it was all these, financial kind of shady institutions that I'd never heard of who were like, yeah, mortgage company. And I'm like, I don't want to get my mortgage from some weird company that I've never heard of. Like, just imagine, like, someone's like, oh, look, we have a better rate, but also look at all this fine print and you'll be trapped in a 30-year nightmare. And I was like,
To be
so,
fair, I think
oh,
I'm pretty sure my mortgage is held by some company that I'm not familiar because
yeah, they
every
sell
single
them.
time they sell them. Yeah, like
Yeah, that's true.
every single year, or sorry, every single year they sell them. So
Mm-hmm. That's
anyway,
true. Yikes.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm very careful with that stuff because I've been burned a couple times. And I think something similar happened. I want to say it was Zillow or Redfin, where like the realtors just come, it's like zombies at your door. They just come
Mhm.
out of the woodwork,
That's a
calling, emailing.
that's a great idea for a television show, Zombie Realtors.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about GDPR, and then we'll move on to our next topic, is that there's been a couple news stories out there because it was the fifth year anniversary. Apparently, um, they held off on doing a big, well, I don't know who they is, but there was a big fine levied on Meta.
Oh
And they
yeah, I've heard
timed
about
it
this.
with, yeah, they timed it with the fifth year anniversary. And this like this is interesting, I think, because really these these improvements for consumers and their privacy protections are perhaps only as good as the enforcement that
Right.
the enforcement the enforcing bodies,
Yeah.
and there's definitely information out there that that's a you know that people can go look at more to learn more about this. But it's I think the downsides of things like this is that like maybe we've not quite seen as much Much improvement based on these regulations as one would hope at this point,
Mm, yeah.
because companies aren't going to want to pay their huge giant fines, and they are going to fight it. So,
Speaking of companies, so I actually was reading recently about, I think it's called NVIDIA, is the chip maker
hmm
whose like stock is going through the roof right now. NVIDIA? How do you say it? NVIDIA? But because of all the AI stuff, I guess they
uh-huh.
make like processor chips or whatever for AI crunching processing. Um, but what was funny is it caught my eye because I was like, oh, good for them. Because they were mentioned in an article, I want to say by the New York Times, about companies, or maybe it was the journal, companies that are trying to become menopause friendly. And I remember like reading,
hmm
scanning the headlines and being like, back that up. What did I just read? Menopause friendly workspaces. And it was this picture of like all these middle-aged women in a conference room, like, wrapped with attention. And apparently, like women are getting together and being like, we need menopause benefits. And I was just really taken aback by that because I thought, I don't know if I'd ever have the courage to bring up my menopause with my coworkers or my boss. Like, these women are very brave, very brave.
Is there a correlation between this and maybe more women working in the workplace longer? Like, is there just now
Yes,
more of a
yes,
cohort of women?
exactly. There's more ladies who are getting old and working in tech,
hmm
and they're like, hey, I have menopause and I need to see a doctor about it, and I can't find one, and I need
hmm
some help. And they actually went to their HR and asked for support, I guess, for menopause treatments. And also, they talked about companies adopting like menopause friendly policies, like temperatures, I guess, being able to control temperatures. And then also, like, uniforms. If you work at a place where you have to wear a uniform, having the uniform be something that isn't too hot. And I was like, oh my God, like women are so amazing. I would never think, it would never even occur to me to ask for that kind of support. And
hmm
if I did, it would be like anonymous survey
hmm
answer or something like that. It certainly wouldn't be like, hey, HR person, how's it going? By the way,
hmm
what about my menopause? And I just, I'm stunned. I'm just stunned at how brave people are. Like, I just think that's incredible. So I'm so happy that their stock is going up. I hope it goes up really high, and all the ladies who have their RSUs and ESPPs and everything are just making a bunch of money.
That's very cool. Do you
Hmm.
think it's worth it, like, to go to um like the part of your company that is probably within HR to tell them that you like need accommodations? Like, if you're just solo by yourself, you don't see a movement going on around you that pertains to
Yeah.
kind of like accommodations that you feel like maybe you should have. Like, do you feel like it's worth it, or do you feel like it's like just too much red tape? And like,
Ooh,
it probably depends on what it is, but I mean,
I would say my own experiences with HR have been pretty tepid. I
mhm,
haven't, anytime I've kind of approached HR with issues in the past, I wouldn't say I've gotten a super supportive response. It's
mhm,
more just like, uh-huh, uh-huh,
mhm.
okay, all right, well, everything's as it should be. Okay, thanks, bye-bye. And I'm like, okay. So I haven't really felt like I've ever gone to HR and gotten some kind of big result that I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been able to get otherwise or anything like that. But I'm always really impressed by like when employees get together and make change,
I think that's
you
how it has
know,
to happen. I think
yeah.
that I think that only in my experience, only when it's been a few, a number of voices together has it felt
Mm-hmm.
like that somebody's paying attention. And even then, there's lots of like I would say even in like the best case scenarios I've been in, the things that maybe we were asking for or looking for were like already in the works at the company. And so it wasn't as if we were getting
Mm,
anything on top of what we were wanting. But yeah, I to some extent feel like those kinds of things only work well if you're with a group of people, which is why, like, I wonder if anybody solo previously had asked for
yeah.
like menopausal like accommodations, like if they had really gotten anywhere or if they had just gotten,
Mm,
the type of thing you said where it's less like, no,
yeah.
everything's as it should be.
Exactly. I feel like that's just the response I get most of the time anyway. Well, Meg, I think we're gonna wrap it up
All
here.
right.
And if you need advice or sympathy for your UX career, write to us at survivingux@gmail.com.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamine Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones. It's called Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. Happy 5th birthday to GDPR. We hope you got a jumpy castle for your party.